Hana Kim wiped the sweat from her forehead as she checked her equipment for the third time that morning. The research station on Kepler 442b was quiet, as always. She had been alone here for 6 months, studying rock samples and plant life. Work was important, but lonely. The asteroid belt planet had strange weather. Purple storms came without warning, and the ground shook when the 3 moons lined up. Today felt different, though. The air was too still, and her instruments were acting strange. She was eating lunch when the sky lit up with fire. Something was falling fast toward her station. Hana ran outside and watched a small ship crash into the rocky hills about 2 miles away. Smoke rose from the crash site like a black finger pointing at the orange sky. Hana grabbed her medical kit and emergency supplies. She had training in first aid, and someone might need help. Her vehicle bounced over the rough ground as she drove, toward the smoke. The closer she got, the more worried she became. The ship was completely destroyed. When she reached the crash site, Hana saw metal pieces scattered everywhere. The ship was small, maybe an escape pod. She called out, but heard no answer. Then she saw movement near a large piece of the hull. Something was trapped under the metal. Hana ran over and saw the most amazing thing in her life. It was a baby dragon. The creature was about the size of a large dog, with scales that shined like jewels. One eye was golden yellow, the other was deep blue. Its wings were torn and bleeding. One leg was bent in a way that looked very painful. Hana had studied alien life forms, but she had never seen a living dragon. Everyone knew dragons existed, but they were supposed to be extinct. The Draknari Empire had ruled the galaxy long ago, but a disease had killed them all. At least that was what the history books said. The baby dragon looked at her with fear and pain in its eyes. It tried to move away but was too hurt. Hana spoke softly, like she would to a scared animal. "It's okay, little one. I want to help you." The dragon stopped trying to move. It watched her carefully as she came closer. When Hana reached out her hand, the dragon sniffed it. Then it made a soft sound, almost like a cat purring, moving the metal. Was hard work, but Hana managed to free the dragon. She could see how badly it was hurt. The wing bones were broken and there were deep cuts on its side. Without help, it would die. "I'm going to pick you up now," Hana said gently. "Try not to bite me." The dragon was heavier than it looked, but Hana carried it to her vehicle. During the ride back to the station, the dragon lay still in her arms. Sometimes it would look up at her face with those strange colored eyes. Back at the station, Hana set up a medical area in her living room. She had supplies for treating humans, but she hoped they would work on dragons too. The dragon watched everything she did. First, Hana cleaned the cuts with antiseptic. The dragon flinched but didn't try to bite her. Then she had to set the broken wing bones. This was the hard part. The dragon cried out in pain, but it seemed to understand she was trying to help. "I know it hurts," Hana whispered, "but you'll feel better soon." She wrapped the wing in a splint made from metal strips and soft cloth. The dragon's breathing was getting weaker. Hana gave it some pain medicine and antibiotics. She wasn't sure if human medicine would work, but she had to try. The hardest part was the broken leg. Hana had to be very careful setting the bone. The dragon bit down on a piece of cloth while she worked. Tears ran down her face as she heard its cries of pain. When she finished, the dragon was very weak. Hana made a soft bed next to her couch using blankets and pillows. She lifted the dragon carefully and placed it on the bed. "There," she said. Now you need to rest." The dragon looked at her for a long moment. Then it closed its eyes and fell asleep. Hana sat in her chair and watched the dragon breathe. She couldn't believe what had happened. A real dragon was sleeping in her living room. She should probably report this to the Galactic Council, but something stopped her. The dragon was just a baby, and it was hurt. She wanted to make sure it was safe first. That night, the dragon had bad dreams. It made scared sounds and moved around on its bed. Hana knelt beside it and stroked its head gently. "Shh, it's okay," she whispered. Then, without thinking, she began to sing a lullaby her mother used to sing to her. It was in Korean, about a little bird finding its way home. As soon as Hana started singing, the dragon's breathing became calm. It stopped making scared sounds and settled into peaceful sleep. She kept singing until she was sure it was resting well. The next morning, Hana woke up on the floor next to the dragon's bed. The dragon was awake and watching her. When she sat up, it made a happy chirping sound. "Good morning, little one," Hana said. "How are you feeling?" The dragon tried to stand up. Its leg was still hurt, but it seemed stronger. Hana brought it. Some water in a bowl. The dragon drank carefully, never taking its eyes off her face. For breakfast, Hana tried giving it different foods. The dragon wasn't interested in her human food, but it ate some raw fish from her emergency supplies. It seemed to like the fish very much. As the days passed, Hana took care of the dragon like it was her own pet. She changed its bandages, gave it medicine, and made sure it had food and water. The dragon seemed to trust her completely. She decided to name it Duri, which meant two in Korean because of its two different colored eyes. When she said the name, the dragon looked at her and made a happy sound. It seemed to like its new name. Duri was a very smart dragon. It watched everything Hana did and learned quickly. Within a week, it understood simple words like food, water, and medicine. It would come when she called its name. But Hana noticed something strange. Duri didn't like it when she talked to other people on her communication device. It would get upset and make angry sounds. When she tried to leave the station to collect samples, Duri would cry and try to follow her, even with its hurt leg. The dragon was getting attached to her, and Hana was getting attached to it too. She had never felt so needed by another living thing. But she wondered what would happen when Duri got better. Where would it go? Did it have family somewhere? For now, though, she was happy to take care of the little dragon. Every night she sang the Korean lullaby, and every night Duri fell asleep peacefully. It was the start of something neither of them understood yet. 3 months had passed since Hana found Duri, and everything had changed. The little dragon was no longer little. He had grown to the size of a large horse, and his scales now shimmered with beautiful colors that changed in the light. His wings had healed perfectly, and he could fly short distances around the station. But the biggest change was how attached Duri had become to Hana. He followed her everywhere, even to the bathroom door, where he would wait outside making worried sounds until she came out. When she worked at her computer, he would lie beside her chair with his head on her lap. At night, he still slept next to her bed, though he was now too big for the blanket nest she had made him. Hana loved having Duri around, but she was starting to worry about his behavior. He had become very protective of her, and sometimes that protection seemed too intense. Last week, when a supply ship flew overhead, Duri had roared at it and shot a small burst of fire into the sky. Hana had to calm him down and explain that the ship wasn't dangerous. Dory seemed to understand, but she could tell he didn't like other people being near her space. "You can't attack every ship that comes by," Hana told him while brushing his scales. Dory loved being brushed, and it was the best time to talk to him about important things. "Some of those people are my friends." Dory made a rumbling sound that meant he understood but didn't agree. He nuzzled his large head against her shoulder, being very gentle despite his size. Hana had learned to understand many of Dory's sounds and movements. When he was happy, his scales turned bright gold. When he was worried, they became dark blue. When he was angry or protective, they turned deep red with orange edges. The strangest thing was how smart Dory had become. He watched Hana work with her equipment and seemed to understand what she was doing. Sometimes he would bring her tools before she asked for them. Once, when her computer broke down, Dory had stared at it for a long time, then touched it gently. With one claw, the computer started working again better than before. "How did you do that?" Hana had asked, but Dory just made a pleased chirping sound. Today was supply day, which meant Tae-sung would arrive with food, medicine, and equipment. Hana was looking forward to seeing another human face, but she was also nervous about how Dory would react. "Listen to me carefully," she said to Dory that morning. "A friend is coming today. His name is Tae-sung, and he's been bringing me supplies for 2 years. He's a good person, and I don't want you to hurt him." Dory's scales turned worried blue. He made questioning sounds. "He's just a friend," Hana said. "He helps me, like I helped you when you were hurt. Do you understand?" Dory nodded, which was something he had learned to do by watching Hana, but his scales stayed blue and she could see he wasn't happy about the visitor. When Tae-sung's ship landed that afternoon, Hana walked out to meet him with Dory close behind her. She had warned Tae-sung about the dragon over the radio, but she could see he was still shocked when he saw Dory in person. "Holy stars," Tae-sung whispered, stopping in his tracks. "You weren't joking. That's really a dragon." "Dory, this is Tae-sung," Hana said calmly. "Tae-sung, meet Dory." Dory was standing very straight and tall, his scales a mix of red and orange. His eyes were fixed on Tae-sung, and smoke was coming from his nose. Tae-sung was a brave man who had worked in space for 20 years, but Hana could see his hands shaking. Hello, Dory. Nice to meet you." Dory made a low, growling sound that wasn't friendly at all. "It's okay," Hana said quickly, stepping between them. "Dory, Tae-sung is my friend. Be nice." But when Tae-sung took a step toward Hana to give her the supply list like he always did, Dory moved faster than lightning. He jumped in front of Hana with his wings spread wide, blocking Tae-sung completely. Fire shot from his mouth, just missing Tae-sung's head. "Dory, no!" Hana shouted. "Bad dragon!" Tae-sung fell backward, his face white with fear. "I think your dragon wants to barbecue me." Hana put her hands on Dory's neck and looked into his eyes. "What is wrong with you? Tae-sung is not dangerous." Dory looked confused. He made soft sounds and nuzzled Hana's face, then looked back at Tae-sung with suspicion. His body language clearly said that he thought Tae-sung was trying to take something that belonged to him. "Oh," Hana said suddenly, understanding. "Dory, do you think Tae-sung wants to hurt me?" Dory nodded vigorously. "He doesn't want to hurt me. He's my friend. Friends help each other and spend time together, but they don't hurt each other." Dory tilted his head thinking about this. His scales slowly changed from red to yellow, which meant he was confused but listening. It took 2 hours to get Dory calm enough for Tae-sung to unload the supplies. Even then, Dory watched every move Tae-sung made. When Tae-sung handed Hana a box, Dory growled. When Tae-sung smiled at her, Dory stepped closer. "He's very protective," Tae-sung said quietly while they worked. "I've never seen anything like it." "Maybe too protective," Hana agreed. "I'm starting to think he sees me as more than just his caretaker." That night, after Tae-sung left, Hana tried to explain human relationships to Dory. She showed him pictures on her computer of families, friends, and couples. "See, these are my parents," she said, pointing to a photo. "They love each other as husband and wife, and this is my friend Yuki. We care about each other, but differently than my parents do." Dory studied the pictures carefully. He pointed at the photo of Hana's parents with one claw and made questioning sounds. "Yes, they're mates," Hana said. "But friendship is different from being mates." Dory looked at her for a long moment. Then he went to his sleeping area and came back with something in his mouth. It was a crystal formation he had found outside, but he had somehow shaped it into a perfect flower. The crystal was beautiful, with colors that matched his scales. He placed it gently in Hana's hands and made a soft, hopeful sound. Hana's heart melted. She realized that in dragon culture this was probably a courtship gift. Dory thought she was his mate, and everything he did was to protect and please her. "Oh, Dory," she said softly, "this is beautiful. Thank you." Dory's scales turned bright gold, and he made happy sounds. He gently touched his nose to her cheek. Hana didn't have the heart to explain right then that she couldn't be his mate. The gift was made with such love and care. She would find a way to help him understand, but tonight she just wanted to appreciate his kindness. As she got ready for bed, Dory arranged his sleeping area closer to her bed than usual. When she lay down, he placed his large head near her pillow and hummed softly. It was a new sound, one she had never heard before. It was beautiful and sad at the same time. "Good night, Dory," she whispered, gently touching his warm scales. He hummed back to her, and Hana realized that things were more complicated than she had thought. Dory wasn't just a dragon she was caring for. He was an intelligent being with feelings, and those feelings were very strong. She would have to be very careful about how she handled this situation. The last thing she wanted was to hurt him. But she also couldn't let him think they were mates when they weren't. Somehow, she had to find a way to keep their special friendship without breaking his heart. Outside, the 3 moons of Kepler 442b rose into the purple sky, and both human and dragon slept peacefully, each dreaming of the other in their own way. Commander Jisoo Park read the report 3 times before she believed it. A living dragon on a human research station. The news had come through official channels after the supply runner Tae-sung reported what he had seen. Jisoo sat in her office, aboard the Terran Defense Force ship Harmony, staring at the grainy photos Tae-sung had managed to take. The dragon was magnificent, with scales that seemed to glow with their own light. But what worried her wasn't the dragon itself. It was what would happen when the rest of the galaxy found out. She activated her secure communication system and called her superior, Admiral Bak Nam, who was stationed near Earth. "Admiral, we have a situation," Jisoo said when the connection opened. "A civilian researcher has made contact with a living Draknari dragon." The Admiral's face went pale. "That's impossible." The dragons have been extinct for 300 years. Not extinct, sir. Very much alive, and very attached to the human who rescued it. Jisoo explained everything she knew about Dr. Hana Kim and the dragon called Duri. As she talked, she could see the Admiral's expression change from disbelief to worry to fear. "Commander Park," the Admiral said finally, "you understand what this means. If the Galactic Council learns about this, they'll want the dragon, and they won't ask nicely." "Yes, sir. What are my orders?" "Protect Dr. Kim and the dragon at all costs, and pray that we can keep this quiet until we figure out what to do." But it was already too late for keeping quiet. On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Council was meeting in emergency session. The council chamber on Nexus Prime Station was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all talking at once about the dragon news. Chancellor Vextar of the Saurian Republic stood at the center podium, his reptilian face twisted with anger. "This is an outrage," he hissed. "The dragons were our ancient enemies. They nearly destroyed our people before the plague took them." "That was centuries ago," said Council Member Zilka of the Veltar Collective, her insect-like features clicking with irritation. "This dragon is just a child, and it's bonded with a human. We should study this bond, learn from it." "Study it?" Vextar's eyes blazed. "We should destroy it before it grows strong enough to threaten us all." High Chancellor Mordun, an ancient being whose species had ruled the council for 1,000 years, raised one of his 4 arms for silence. "Enough. We all know the stories of dragon power. If this creature is real, it represents either a great opportunity or a great danger. We must have it brought here for examination." "And the human?" asked Zilka. "The human will cooperate," Mordun said coldly, "or face the consequences." Back on Kepler 442b, Hana was completely unaware of the storm building around her. She was too busy dealing with Duri's latest development. The dragon had somehow learned to interface with her computer systems directly. She had discovered this by accident when her main research computer crashed during a power surge. Hana was trying to repair it when Duri approached and placed one claw gently on the machine. The computer immediately came back to life, running faster and more efficiently than ever before. "How did you do that?" Hana asked, amazed. Duri made happy chirping sounds and touched the computer again. This time, all of Hana's research data appeared on the screen, but it was organized in ways she had never seen before. Complex calculations that would have taken her days to complete were displayed as simple, elegant formulas. "You understand mathematics?" she asked. Duri nodded and began manipulating the data with his claw on the screen. He showed her patterns in the planet's geological structure that she had missed, connections between different mineral deposits that could revolutionize mining operations. "Duri, you're a genius," Hana whispered. But Duri's technological abilities were just the beginning. Over the next few days, Hana noticed that strange things happened when Duri was emotional. When he was very happy, objects around him would float slightly off the ground. When he was upset, the temperature in the room would drop. When he was angry or protective, electrical equipment would spark and hum. The strangest incident happened. When Hana accidentally cut her hand on a broken piece of equipment, Duri became very distressed, making worried sounds and nuzzling her injured hand. As he did, Hana felt a warm, tingling sensation, and when she looked down, the cut was completely healed. "That's impossible," she said, staring at her unmarked skin. Duri just looked pleased with himself. 3 days later, their peaceful life was interrupted by the arrival of ships. Not one ship, but 5, surrounding the research station. Hana's communication system crackled to life. Dr. Kim, this is Captain Ray Sal of the Galactic Council Enforcement Division. You are ordered to surrender the Draknari creature in your possession immediately. Hana's blood ran cold. She looked at Duri, who was standing beside her with his scales turning deep red. He could sense the threat, even without understanding the words. "This is Dr. Kim," she replied. "I don't know what you're talking about. Dr. Kim, we have surveillance footage and witness reports. Do not make this more difficult than necessary. The creature will be taken into council custody for study and containment." "Containment?" Hana's voice rose. "He's not a prisoner. His name is Duri, and he's under my protection." There was silence for a moment. Then Captain Raysol's voice returned, colder than before. "Dr. Kim, you have 1 hour to prepare the creature for transport. If you do not comply, we will take it by force." The communication cut off, leaving Hana alone with Duri. The dragon was making low growling sounds, and his scales were now bright, red with orange edges. He could feel her fear and anger, and it was making him very agitated. "They want to take you away," Hana said, her voice shaking. "They want to lock you up and experiment on you." Duri stepped closer and wrapped his wings around her in a protective embrace. He made soft sounds that she had learned meant, "I will protect you." "No, Duri," she said, touching his snout. "This time I need to protect you." But even as she said it, Hana didn't know how one human woman could stand against 5 council ships. She looked around her small research station, trying to think of a plan. That's when Duri surprised her again. He walked to the center of the station and closed his eyes. His scales began to glow brighter and brighter until Hana had to shield her eyes. A humming sound filled the air, growing louder and more intense. Suddenly, a dome of pure energy erupted from Duri's body, expanding outward until it covered the entire research station. Through the transparent barrier, Hana could see the council. Ships trying to fire their weapons, but their energy beams just bounced off harmlessly. "Duri!" she called out, but he seemed to be in a trance, concentrating on maintaining the shield. Her communication system activated again. This time, Captain Raysal sounded shocked and frightened. "What is that thing doing? Our weapons have no effect." Hana felt a surge of pride and protectiveness. "That thing is protecting his home," she said firmly, "and he's protecting me. If you try to hurt either of us, you'll have to deal with him. Dr. Kim, you don't understand the danger you're in. That creature could kill you at any moment." Hana looked at Duri, who was still maintaining the energy shield, while somehow also keeping one eye on her to make sure she was safe. The idea that he would hurt her was ridiculous. "The only danger here is from you," she replied. "Duri would never hurt me, but I can't say the same about what he might do to anyone who threatens me." As if to prove her point, Duri opened both eyes and looked directly at the lead council ship. The energy shield pulsed, and the ship's systems began to malfunction. Warning lights flashed on all 5 vessels as their power levels fluctuated wildly. "This is impossible," Captain Raysal muttered, but Hana could hear the fear in his voice. "Leave us alone," Hana said. "We're not bothering anyone. Duri just wants to live in peace." "The Council will never allow a dragon to roam free," Captain Raysal replied. "We'll be back with reinforcements." The 5 ships retreated, but Hana knew they would return. Word of Duri's power would spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Everyone would want to capture him, study him, or destroy him. She looked at her dragon friend, who was finally relaxing his shield. His scales were fading from bright red to tired blue. Creating such a powerful barrier had exhausted him. "We can't stay here," she told him gently. "They'll come back with more ships, more weapons. We need to find somewhere safe." Duri nuzzled her face and made questioning sounds. "I don't know where we'll go," Hana admitted, "but we'll figure it out together." That night, as Hana packed her essential equipment and supplies, she realized their quiet life was over. The galaxy knew about Duri now, and there would be no hiding. From now on, every day would be a fight for survival. But as she watched Duri carefully help her pack, being so gentle with his massive claws, she knew she would do whatever it took to keep him safe. He had trusted her when he was hurt and alone. Now it was her turn to prove that trust wasn't misplaced. Hana and Duri had been running for 2 weeks. Every time they landed on a planet or asteroid to rest, Council ships would appear within hours. They were being tracked somehow, but Hana couldn't figure out how. Their small escape ship was running, low on fuel and food. Duri hadn't complained once, but Hana could see he was tired. His scales had lost some of their bright shine, and he slept more than usual. "We need to find somewhere safe," Hana said, as they flew through empty space. "Somewhere. The Council can't find us." Duri was sitting in the co-pilot seat, which was barely big enough for him now. He had grown even larger during their time running, and his intelligence seemed to grow with his size. He could now understand complex sentences and even read some basic text on the ship's computer. Duri made thoughtful sounds and pointed at the navigation screen. He touched a spot that showed a red dwarf star system marked as unexplored in the ship's database. "You want to go there?" Hana asked. "The records say that system is empty. No planets, no life." Duri nodded firmly and made insistent sounds. His scales turned golden, which usually meant he was excited about something. "Okay," Hana said, trusting his instincts. "We'll try it." The journey to the red dwarf system took 3 days. When they arrived, Hana was surprised to see that the ship's sensors were wrong. There was a planet here, a beautiful blue and green world that somehow wasn't showing up on their scanners. "That's strange," Hana muttered, checking the instruments. "It's like the planet is hidden somehow." Duri was almost bouncing in his seat with excitement. He pointed at the planet and made happy chirping sounds. As they got closer, Hana saw something that made her gasp. There were structures on the planet's surface. Not cities like humans or other species built, but massive crystalline formations that seemed to grow from the ground like trees. They pulsed with soft light that matched the color of Duri's scales. "Duri," she said slowly, "is this a dragon world?" Duri nodded vigorously, his scales now bright gold mixed with excited purple swirls. They landed near the largest crystal formation, which was as big as a mountain. Hana put on her environment suit, but when she checked the atmosphere readings, she was surprised to find the air was breathable. "How did you know about this place?" she asked Duri as they walked toward the crystal mountain. Duri made complicated sounds that she didn't understand, but his body language suggested he was remembering something important. As they approached the crystal formation, it began to glow brighter. Symbols appeared on its surface, writing in a language Hana had never seen before, but somehow Duri could read it. He studied the symbols carefully, then looked at Hana with wonder in his different-colored eyes. Suddenly, the crystal formation opened like a flower, revealing a passage inside. Duri walked forward confidently, encouraging Hana to follow. Inside, the crystal mountain was the most beautiful place Hana had ever seen. The walls were covered with glowing crystals of every color, and the air hummed with gentle energy. But the most amazing thing was what waited in the center of the vast chamber. Floating in the air was a dragon made of pure light. It was translucent and shimmering, much larger than Duri, with wise, ancient eyes. When it spoke, its voice came. "From everywhere at once, welcome, young Duri," the light dragon said in perfect human English. "And welcome, Hana-Kim, the one who showed kindness to our lost child." Hana's mouth fell open. "You can speak English?" "We can speak all languages," the dragon replied. "We are Haraboji, the memory keeper of the Draknari. We have been waiting for you." Haraboji? Hana recognized the Korean word for grandfather. Yes. Duri has shared his memories with us through the Crystal Network. We know of your kindness, your songs in the night, your gentle care. We know you call this one Duri, with love. Duri made excited sounds and ran to Haraboji, but he passed right through the energy form. Haraboji chuckled, a sound like wind chimes. "We cannot touch any more, young one, but we are still here, still watching, still caring for our people." "I don't understand," Hana said. "The history books say dragons died from a plague centuries ago." "The history books are wrong," Haraboji explained. "We did not die. We evolved. We became beings of pure energy, no longer bound by physical form. We left behind the needs of the flesh to explore the deeper mysteries of the universe." "But Duri is still physical," Hana pointed out. "Yes. Duri is special. He is what we call a bridge child, born with the ability to exist in both worlds. He can touch the physical realm and also communicate with us energy beings. We had hoped such a child would be born someday, but we did not know when or where." Haraboji's form shifted, showing images in the glowing energy. Hana saw the history of the dragons, how they had once been a powerful species that ruled much of the galaxy. But unlike other conquering races, they had grown tired of war and violence. "We learned that true power is not in controlling others," Haraboji said. "True power is in understanding, in growth, in harmony. So we chose to step back from the physical world and become something greater." "But why did you stay hidden?" Hana asked. "Because we were waiting," Haraboji replied. "Waiting for the galaxy to show us a species worthy of our knowledge, a species that could look at power and choose mercy instead of conquest." The energy dragon turned to look directly at Hana. "For 300 years, we watched the galaxy through our crystal networks. We saw species after species discover our old technology and use it for war. We saw the strong attack the weak, the many oppress the few. We began to lose hope. Then Duri crashed on your little research station," Haraboji continued. "And you, one small human woman, showed us something we had not seen in centuries. You looked at unlimited power in the form of a dragon child, and instead of thinking about what you could gain, you thought only about healing his pain." Duri made soft sounds and nuzzled Hana's shoulder. "Through Duri's eyes, we watched you care for him with no thought of reward. You sang to him when he had nightmares. You shared your food when supplies were low. You protected him when the council came, even though you were vastly outnumbered." Hana felt tears in her eyes. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Haraboji said firmly. "You did what almost no one would do. Most beings, when faced with that much potential power, would seek to control it or exploit it. You simply loved The energy dragon showed more images, this time of humans throughout history. Hana saw people helping strangers, sharing food with enemies, protecting the weak even at cost to themselves. "Your species is young and often foolish," Haraboji said. "But among all the species we have observed, only humans consistently choose compassion over conquest when it truly matters. This is why we have decided to reveal ourselves." "What do you mean?" Hana asked. "The Draknari will return to the physical galaxy," Haraboji announced. "Not as conquerors, but as teachers. We will share our knowledge with those species wise enough to use it well. And we will start with humanity, because of what you have shown us." Duri made excited sounds, his scales turning bright rainbow colors. "But first," Haraboji said, "young Duri must learn to use his true abilities. He is more powerful than even he knows. The energy shield he created was just the beginning." Haraboji began to teach Duri, showing him how to manipulate matter and energy with his mind. Hana watched in amazement as Duri learned to reshape crystals with a thought, to make plants grow with his touch, to communicate directly with electronic systems. "This is why the Council fears him," Haraboji explained. "A fully trained bridge dragon can terraform planets, cure diseases, even extend life itself. In the wrong hands, such power could enslave the galaxy. In the right hands, it could heal the galaxy." "And you think I have the right hands?" Hana asked, still hardly believing what she was seeing. "You have proven it already," Haraboji said warmly. "Duri bonded with you not because you were strong, but because you were kind. Dragon bonds are not formed lightly. They last forever, and they are never wrong about character." As the day progressed, Hana learned more about dragon culture and history. She discovered that Duri's attachment to her was indeed a mating bond, but not in the way she had feared. Dragon mates were life partners in every sense, sharing not just love but purpose and destiny. "But I'm human," Hana protested. "I can't be a dragon's mate." "Love transcends species," Haraboji said gently. "The bond does not require physical mating. It requires trust, loyalty, and shared dreams. You and Duri have all of these." Duri made soft, hopeful sounds and looked at Hana with his mismatched eyes. "So what happens now?" Hana asked. "Now you choose," Haraboji said. "You can stay here in safety while the galaxy tears itself apart fighting over Duri, or you can return and help us change everything. But know this: if you choose to help us, your life will never be simple again." Hana looked at Duri, who was waiting patiently for her decision. She thought about her quiet research station, her peaceful life studying rocks and plants. Then she thought about the Council ships, the fear in Captain Raysol's voice, the way the galaxy saw Duri as either a weapon or a threat. "The galaxy doesn't understand dragons," she said finally. "They're afraid because they don't know the truth." "Yes," Haraboji agreed. "Then we need to teach them," Hana decided. "We need to show them that dragons aren't monsters to be feared or weapons to be used. They're people, just like anyone else." Duri's scales exploded into brilliant gold, and he made the news of Duri's true nature spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within days of Hana and Duri's return from the hidden dragon world, every species knew that the dragons were not extinct. They had evolved into energy beings, and they were coming back. The Galactic Council broke apart as different species chose different sides. Some wanted to welcome the dragons back. Others wanted to destroy them before they could become too powerful. Most were simply terrified. Chancellor Vexitar of the Saurian Republic was the loudest voice calling for war. He stood before a gathering of his military commanders, his reptilian features twisted with rage. The dragons must be destroyed, he hissed. They enslaved our ancestors. They think they are better than all other life. We will not bow to them again. But Chancellor, said General Caspar, the reports say these dragons want peace. They offer to share their technology freely. Lies. Vextar slammed his fist on the table. Dragons know only conquest. The human woman has been deceived, and now she spreads their poison words. On the other side of the galaxy, the Veltar Collective was having their own debates. Council member Zilka stood before the Queen's chamber, her insect-like features clicking with excitement. My Queen, imagine what we could learn from dragon technology. They can manipulate matter itself. Our scientists could advance by thousands of years. Queen Velsa raised one of her many arms for silence. And what do they want in return, Zilka? They say they want nothing except the chance to teach wisdom and peace. No one gives such power for free, the Queen said suspiciously. There must be a trap. We will watch and wait. But not everyone was suspicious. Admiral Boknam of the Terran Defense Force had made a decision that surprised the entire galaxy. He announced that humanity would officially support Dr. Hana Kim and offer protection to her and Duri. Dr. Kim is a human citizen, he declared in a broadcast to all human colonies. The dragon Duri saved her life and has shown nothing but peaceful intentions. We will not abandon our people to alien threats. This decision split the human colonies. Some supported the Admiral's choice, but others feared that protecting a dragon would make humanity a target for every species that wanted to destroy or capture Duri. Hana and Duri found themselves at the center of a galactic storm. They had taken refuge on the human military base New Sol, but even there they weren't completely safe. Every day brought reports of fleets moving toward human space. Maybe this was a mistake, Hana said one evening as she watched the news reports. Maybe I should have left you on the crystal planet where you'd be safe. Duri, who was now as large as a small building, lowered his massive head to nuzzle her gently. His scales showed swirls of blue and gold, indicating he was sad but determined. I know you want to help, Hana continued, scratching the spot behind his horn that he loved. But people are going to die because of this. Ships are gathering for war. Admiral Boknam entered the hangar where they were staying. He looked tired and worried, but his voice was steady. Dr. Kim, we've received word that a Saurian battle fleet is 3 days away. They're demanding we surrender Duri, or they'll attack. How many ships? Hana asked. 200. We have 30. Hana felt sick. Admiral, you can't fight a war for us. Too many people will die. Dr. Kim, with respect, this isn't just about you anymore. If we give in to threats now, what happens the next time someone decides they don't like human choices? We have to stand for something. Duri made thoughtful sounds and walked to the hangar's computer terminal. He placed one claw on the interface, and immediately the screen filled with data. He was accessing military communications across the galaxy. What is he doing? The Admiral asked. He's listening, Hana realized. Duri, what are you hearing? Duri's expression grew sad as he processed the information. His scales turned dark blue with red edges. He made urgent sounds and showed them the communications he was intercepting. The data was horrifying. It wasn't just the Saurians coming. 3 different species had formed temporary alliances, all with the goal of destroying Duri. The Veltar wanted to capture him for experiments. The Saurians wanted him dead. The Kethmori wanted to steal his power for themselves. Over 800 ships, Admiral Boknam said quietly, reading the data. This isn't a battle, it's an execution. That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars and thinking about all the people who would die because she had chosen to save one injured dragon. Dury found her there, moving quietly despite his size. He settled beside her, careful not to block her view of the stars. "I'm scared, Dury," she admitted. "Not for me, but for everyone else. All these people are going to fight because of our choice." Dury made soft, comforting sounds. Then he did something he had never done before. He spoke, not in dragon sounds, but in perfect human English. His voice was deep and warm, like thunder mixed with music. "Hana," he said, and her name sounded beautiful in his voice. "Do not fear. Love is stronger than hate. Hope is stronger than fear." Hana turned to stare at him in shock. "You can talk." "I learned by listening to you," Dury said, his scales glowing softly in the starlight. "You taught me more than words. You taught me what it means to care for someone without wanting anything in return." "When did you learn?" "I understood some words after the first week. I understood everything after the first month. But I wanted to wait until the right moment to speak." Hana felt tears in her eyes. "And this is the right moment?" "Yes. Because now you need to know that this is not your fault. The galaxy was already broken. We are just giving it a chance to heal." 2 days later, the enemy fleets arrived. 800 ships from 6 different species, all united in their fear and hatred of dragon power. They formed a massive wall around the human base, blocking out the stars. Admiral Bok Nam stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by his officers. Everyone knew they couldn't win this fight, but no one suggested surrender. "Admiral," came a voice over the communications. "This is Chancellor Vextar. You have 1 hour to surrender the dragon, or we will destroy your entire base." "This is Admiral Bok Nam," came the reply. "We do not negotiate with threats. If you want to attack civilians, that's on your conscience, not ours." In the hangar, Hana was suiting up in combat armor, determined to stand with the humans who had protected her, but Dury stopped her with a gentle touch of his claw. "No, Hana, this is not your fight to fight with weapons." "Then what do we do?" Dury stood to his full height, his scales beginning to glow brighter than they ever had before. "We show them what dragon power really means." "Dury, don't. There are too many ships. Even you can't fight 800 vessels." "I will not fight." "Them," Dury said calmly. "I will save them." Before Hana could ask what he meant, Dury spread his massive wings and flew up through the hangar's open roof. She ran to the window and watched him rise into space, growing brighter with each second. The enemy fleets saw him coming and opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked toward the lone dragon. But instead of creating a shield or fighting back, Dury did something impossible. He absorbed every single attack. The energy weapons that hit him just made him glow brighter. The missiles that struck him turned into harmless light. In seconds, Dury had grown to the size of a small moon, blazing with power that came from the enemy's own weapons. Then he began to sing. The sound reached every ship, every person, every conscious being within 100 light years. It wasn't just heard, it was felt in the heart and soul. The song spoke of love without condition, of hope without end, of the beauty that existed in every living thing. As Dury sang, something miraculous happened. The dead planet below them began to change. Oceans formed where there had been only rock. Forests grew where there had been only dust. Mountains rose and valleys deepened, creating a world of impossible beauty. In 10 minutes, Dury had terraformed an entire planet. But that wasn't the end. As his song continued, the crews of the attacking ships felt their hatred and fear melting away. They saw through the dragon's eyes, felt his innocent love for all life, understood that he had never wanted to harm anyone. One by one, the ships stopped firing. On the Saurian flagship, Chancellor Vextar fell to his knees, tears streaming down, his reptilian face as he remembered what it felt like to love instead of hate. "Cease fire," he whispered. "Cease fire. We have made a terrible mistake." When Dury's song finally ended, he returned to normal size and flew back to the hangar. Hana was waiting for him, her face wet with tears of wonder and pride. "That was incredible," she said, embracing his massive head. "You could have destroyed them all, but instead you showed them beauty." "That is what you taught me," Dury said softly. "When you could have turned me away or sold me to the highest bidder, you chose to heal instead. When you could have used my power for your own gain, you chose to protect instead. I learned from the best teacher in the galaxy." The communication system crackled to life. It was Chancellor Vexatar, but his voice was completely different from before. Gone was the rage and hatred. Now he sounded like someone who had just awakened from a nightmare. "Dr. Kim," he said, "Dragon Dury, we owe you an apology. We came here in fear and ignorance. We see now that we were wrong." "Thank you for listening," Hana replied simply. 6 months had passed since the day Dury terraformed a planet and changed the galaxy forever. The new world, which everyone now called New Terra, had become the most important place in known space. It was here that the first interspecies harmony institute was built, and it was here that representatives from dozens of worlds came to learn about cooperation instead of conquest. Hana stood in her new office, looking out at the impossible sight beyond her window. The campus of the institute spread across rolling green hills, with buildings designed by different species working together. Saurian crystal architecture mixed with human steel and glass. Veltar organic structures grew alongside Kethmori energy platforms. It was beautiful and strange and wonderful. But the most amazing sight was the students, young beings from across the galaxy learning together, playing together, becoming friends despite being completely different species. At the center of it all was Dury, who had appointed himself as the unofficial guardian and teacher for all the children. A knock at her door interrupted Hana's thoughts. "Come in," she called. Dr. Yoonji Lee entered, carrying a tablet full of reports. Yoonji was Hana's assistant director, a brilliant young woman who had volunteered to help build the institute when she heard about the project. "The morning reports," Yoonji said with a smile. 3 more species have requested to join the cultural exchange program. The Andorian Council wants to send a delegation next month. And Engineer Minsu says the new communication array is finally working properly. Hana took the tablet and scanned the reports. It still amazed her how much had changed. 6 months ago, she had been a lonely researcher on a remote planet. Now she was the director of interspecies relations for the entire galaxy, helping to coordinate peace treaties and cultural exchanges. "Any problems?" Hana asked. "Just minor ones. Some of the Veltar students are having trouble with the gravity in the human sections, and the young Saurians keep trying to challenge the dragon hatchlings to combat competitions." Hana laughed. The dragon hatchlings were young energy beings that Haraboji and the other evolved dragons had sent to help teach. They looked like small versions of Dury, but were made of pure light. "I'll talk to Dury about the combat challenges," Hana said. "He's better at explaining dragon culture to other species." Speaking of Dury, He asked me to remind you about the ceremony this afternoon. The new ambassadors are arriving, and he wants to make sure you'll be there for the welcome." "Of course I'll be there," Hana said. "I wouldn't miss it." After Yunji left, Hana walked through the Institute's halls. Everywhere she looked, she saw proof of what was possible when different species worked together. In one classroom, a Keth Mori, professor was teaching human and saurian students about energy manipulation. In another, a human teacher was showing Veltar children how to paint with traditional brushes. The most popular class was always Dragon Studies, taught by Duri himself. Hana paused outside the classroom door to listen. "Remember," Duri was saying, in his deep, warm voice, "power is not about being strong enough to hurt others. Power is about being strong enough to help others, even when they cannot help you back." A young saurian student raised her hand. "But Teacher Duri, what if someone tries to hurt you? Don't you fight back?" "There is a difference between protecting and attacking," Duri explained patiently. "Protection comes from love. Attacking comes from fear or anger. Love makes you stronger and wiser. Fear and anger make you weak and foolish." A human boy spoke up next. "Is that why you didn't destroy the ships that came to attack us?" "Yes, exactly. Those people were afraid because they did not understand. Destroying them would not have taught them anything except to be more afraid. But showing them beauty and kindness helped them learn to understand." Hana smiled and continued walking. Duri was such a good teacher, patient and wise beyond his years. It was hard to believe he was still technically a teenager in dragon years. She found him later that afternoon in his favorite spot, a garden where he liked to rest between classes. He was enormous now, bigger than a house, but he still managed to move with surprising grace. His scales had developed new patterns over the months, swirls of color that seemed to reflect his mood and thoughts. "How are your students today?" Hana asked, settling into a chair that had been specially placed for their daily conversations. "Curious and eager," Duri replied, lowering his great head so they could talk more easily. "The young Andorian asked 17 questions about terraforming, and the Veltar princess wants to know if dragons can teach her people to sing like I did during the battle. Can you?" "Perhaps. Singing like that requires not just knowledge, but understanding of love itself. It cannot be taught with words alone." Hana nodded, stroking the soft scales on Duri's snout. This had become their regular routine, these quiet conversations at the end of each day. It reminded her of the early days on her research station, when it was just the two of them against the galaxy. "I have news," Duri said, his scales shifting to excited gold patterns. "Haraboji sent a message through the crystal network. More bridge children are being born across the galaxy, 5 in the last month alone." "That's wonderful," Hana said, and meant it. Bridge dragons like Duri were the key to maintaining peace between the energy dragons and the physical species. "Where are they being born?" "Different worlds. Different species are finding dragon eggs that need care. A Keth Mori family found one. A human family on New Colony 7 found another. Even a saurian couple discovered one in their garden." "Are they all healthy?" "Yes, and they are all bonding with their caretakers the way I bonded with you." Haraboji says the universe is finally ready for more bridge children because more people are ready to care for them with pure hearts. Hana felt a warm glow of pride. The idea that their example was inspiring others to show kindness to dragon children was more rewarding than any medal or title. "Duri," she said carefully, "I've been wondering about something. Now that the galaxy is changing, now that there are other dragons and other teachers, do you ever think about Finding a mate of your own species? Duri's scales shifted to soft blue, the color that meant he was thinking seriously. Do you want me to find another mate? He asked. I want you to be happy, Hana said honestly. I love our friendship and I always will. But I also know that dragon bonds are usually between dragons. I don't want you to miss out on that kind of connection because you're attached to me. Duri was quiet for a long moment. Then his scales brightened to warm gold mixed with deep purple, a combination Hana had never seen before. Hana, he said slowly. Do you know what the purple means? I don't think I've seen that color pattern before. Purple is the color of understanding. Deep understanding that comes only with time and experience. Duri lifted his head to look directly into her eyes. I understand now what I did not understand when I was small and hurt and afraid. What do you understand? I understand that there are many kinds of love, and all of them are precious. I love you as my bondmate, my protector, my teacher, my friend. But I also understand now that this love is not the same as romantic love between life partners. Hana felt a mix of relief and sadness. So you want to find someone else? No, Duri said firmly. What I want is to continue being your partner in this great work we are doing. You are the bridge between my heart and my mind. The one who taught me how to love wisely. Any dragon I might choose as a romantic partner would have to understand that you will always be the most important person in my life. And you think you could find someone who would understand that? Duri made the rumbling sound that was his version of laughter. Hana, I am a giant dragon who terraforms planets and speaks to energy beings. Any dragon who wants to be my romantic partner will have to be very understanding about many unusual things. They both laughed at that. It was true. Duri's life was hardly normal, even for a dragon. Besides, Duri continued, I am still young. I have many years to think about romantic partnerships. Right now, I am happy doing this work with you. Teaching, learning, helping the galaxy become a better place. There is no one I would rather share this adventure with. As the sun set over New Terra, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, Hana felt a deep contentment settle over her. She thought about the scared, injured baby dragon she had found in a crashed ship and marveled at the wise, powerful, loving being he had become. The evening ceremony was beautiful. Representatives from 12 different species formally joined the Harmony Institute, pledging to work together for peace and understanding. Duri spoke to the gathering, welcoming the new members and explaining the Institute's mission. We are here, he said, because one small act of kindness can change everything. Dr. Hana Kim could have turned away when she found me broken and dying. Instead, she chose to help. That choice led to all of this. This institute, these friendships, this hope for a better galaxy. After the ceremony, as beings from different worlds mingled and talked and laughed together, Hana stood with Duri watching the impossible sight of former enemies becoming friends. What do you think comes next? She asked. More students, Duri said confidently. More teachers, more bridge children finding people willing to love them. More worlds learning that cooperation is stronger than conquest. It sounds like a lot of work.